Hey everybody, it's Ryan here from Android Coliseum, and I've got my review here for the Pixel 5. I'm gonna mix between the Pixel 5 and the 4a 5G. I'm gonna kind of cheat you here and give you two reviews in one, in a sense. And it's been a while since I've been using this. This is the Pixel 5. I always like to go with the flagship one, and I do feel somewhat cheated that I came down with the 4XL to the 5. I feel like I really wanted to have that, and that's just me being a bit of a diva when it comes to. I always want the best of the best. I always want the top end if I can get it. But Pixel's never really been about that. Let's remember that. So it's tricky. So first off, the Pixel 5, $799. In terms of specs, like these two guys are pretty identical, the 4a 5G and the Pixel 5. But I'll talk about the 5. This is $799. This comes with a 6-inch display, so fair step down from that. This only has the 765 Snapdragon, not the top end 800 series, the 765. But it does just fine. It has 8 gigs of RAM, which this only has 6, same with the 4XL. So 8 gigs of RAM was kind of nice. It has 128 storage. It has the same camera that any one of these always have, except now it has the wide angle in the back there, whereas this had the telescopic telephoto. An 8 megapixel shooter in the front for those of you like selfies. And the kicker of all this is the fact that it actually has a really kick-ass battery. And I'm just going to say that's the thing, and partly why I didn't immediately go back to the 4XL. All right, so starting off with using the 5, I was upset not getting the full size. That was kind of a bit of a pain to me. I liked having the size difference. This is my iPhone for work, and I like having the size difference between the 4XL I've always had. That's my personal, and then this small guy is my work one. Well, these guys are pretty well similar in size now, so it was interesting, and I have a lot of hard times trouble typing out on something small as like the iPhone I have there. Didn't ever really have that big a problem with the Pixel 5, so that's interesting. I didn't often think, oh, it's too small. I did notice that it wasn't Quad HD. That was kind of a bummer, but you know what? For the size of it, it's fine. It does just fine. In terms of performance, it did just fine. I didn't notice any major hiccups, except for in the camera, and I'll get to that in a bit here. The other thing that I didn't like that they got rid of it is they got rid of the squeeze function. So no more squeezing for Google. That's kind of weird. But it gave me a fingerprint sensor back, which is nice because it literally is like fraction of a second, and it's working. And then I also get my gesture control that I can bring that down. No more solely. I never really liked that. It never really worked for me, especially that waving feature. That was kind of lame. The other part about it is that now that it's got the punch out, and I really was surprised how much I didn't really notice the punch out when I would use things. Especially when I'm in dark theme, you don't really notice it a lot. So without the punch out, they've gotten rid of the speaker up there. So the actual earpiece speaker is actually the glass. There's a speaker behind it, and you can put your ear to just about any part of the phone and it would be fine. Makes stereo a little awkward if you're listening to music or playing a video game. Watching a video got a little awkward. Stereo wasn't exactly true enough, but that's fine. What else to get into? I mean, in terms of like all the Pixel features, it always has all the great stuff. And the fact that it's the 5, it's not any of the A version, it's got all the great stuff built into it. So there's its wide angle, there's its 1.0, there's a digital zoom 1. But kind of a neat thing I found I liked is the video had this neat. So there's a slow motion video automatically. You can, without having to go to the slow motion setting, it's there, right? But then you can tap this, and there's different ways you can do the video stabilization: standard, locked, active, or cinematic pan. And I'll try to do a video on those separately. But that's something you don't get on the 4A, I found. I didn't check to see if it's on the 4A 5G, but that's just whatever. So which one do you want to get? The 4A 5G, now this is only $120 cheaper. You get a slightly bigger screen. You get the same camera, same processor, same storage, a little less RAM at 6 gigs of RAM. You don't get the QI charging, and that's kind of a bummer. But, like I said, you get money back in your pocket. So I think for most people, this is going to be it. But for me, I have to have the 5 because it's going to have the QI charging, which it also reverses QI charging, so I can put my buds on there and it'll charge them up. But then it'll also have the IP68. It also has the 8 gigs of RAM. So no matter what I'm going to throw at it, it's going to be doing quite well. Yeah, so there's not much else for me to really tell you guys about it. I really liked it. The amazing thing I really, really liked about it is the battery. So no matter how much I threw at this thing, and I used it as my daily all the time, like, it was always hitting about 30 hours. So there it's saying it's, today is a Sunday, I didn't use it much, but for music, 7 hours overuse so far. It's had a day left to go. I try to do some screenshots of all my battery time, and consistently 30 to 34, 35 hours of battery. Always good, never a problem. Wow. $799 compared to the old $899 for the XL, or $679 for the 4A 5G. So do you want slightly bigger and cheaper, or do you want to pay a little bit more, slightly smaller, but then you get QI, you get IP68, and you get more RAM? Most people are going to be like, meh, I just want that. That's fine. Me, I want this. Actually, I want something like this. I want Quad HD display, a little bigger, and I'd like to have the top end later generation processor, but that's just me. But that being said, this had no problem running PUBG, playing some video games, albeit on a smaller screen. It was harder to do, but I mean, what more do you really need than a good camera, amazing battery, and virtually no hiccup on it? I did say there was some hiccup on it. When I go to take a picture, there can be a little bit of a lag, especially if I'm doing anything like the cinematic zoom, or I'm doing a panorama, or I'm doing a night shot. This doesn't have what they call that neural AI camera processor, so a special processor just designed to do camera stuff. So without that, when you take a picture and then you want to watch it, that second later, it still might say processing when you go to view it. But that's if you're super quick. And you're like, take a picture, want to see it right away. Outside of that, you probably would never notice it. Anyways, so that's the Pixel 5. That's the one I would get. But most people I probably imagine are going to get the 4A 5G because, it's cheaper. You're not going to really notice the extra gigs of RAM. And if you haven't already gotten into wireless charging, you're probably not going to notice it. And any of the 4As always have the headphone jack. That's the advantage there. And plus, there's speakers right there. They actually have a little better speaker. Anyways, I love the phone. I wish there was this. I said that a bunch of times. But, oh well. It is what it is. And I think it's Google's way of telling us we don't need the top-end specs to really see what the top end is needed for Google. You just need a good experience for that. Anyways, I'll have a full review on the website. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Talk to you soon.